Hello and welcome to the agency. It's been a few months, but we are back and we have it's going to be me, Candy Minx, and Suzanne Dion from Montreal. Suzanne's a good friend of mine. And Suzanne, say hi. Don't let me talk all by myself.
I would never leave you hanging like that. Hi, I'm Suzanne. I've been Candy's friend for a very long time. We started in improv together at Big City Improv in Toronto. We did some crazy, crazy shows and crazy things in Toronto.
Mhm.
My life was very enriched by most of it.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I'm excited to discuss a topic that is, I'm trying not to use the French terminology, but is very close to my heart.
That's okay. You can use the French
Yeah.
terminology and then
Uh,
just say the English after it or the Spanish. So basically, we are going to talk about angry women in pop culture. But Suzanne, how long have you been in Montreal? I mean,
I
I knew you grew up there.
I moved back to Montreal. Oh, sorry, I did it again. I moved back to Montreal 3 days after my son was born, and he just turned 21.
Oh my God. Okay, well, that's a great time reference. Congratulations, Mom.
Thank
And
you.
you've been working in Montreal. You spend time with your family, your mom, your relatives, raised a son, a hockey player. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Okay.
no relatives. Literally in Montreal, it's me and my mom.
Oh, that's very nice. That's super
But
cool.
I do have, and
Hmm.
I will shout them out now.
Yeah.
Do have friends who have become family. I have my book club. Yes, I'm old enough. Like I'm not age. I think angry women go really well with book clubs and
Yeah.
red wine, but
Yeah.
mostly book clubs. So shout out to my book club. You guys all know who you are, but vitally important to
All
have.
right. Yeah, thank you for listening, Book Club. I hope you enjoy this because I think it's going to be a relevant topic for you. I'm going to say shout out to my sister Kiki, to Tiff, to
Oh,
to Sarah Elliott, who often podcasts with us, Eva Staton, who you've met, and we've talked about murder, Adam, Andy, and Anita, just off the top of my head. Anita, because she was in our Zuzu's Pedals.
she
Zuzu
was.
Pedals. Zuzu's Pedals was our improv group in Toronto. So maybe she'll listen to this. She might like this topic.
I should send this to Rob too
Oh,
while we're
you
at it.
definitely should. Definitely.
He
Anybody.
was in our troop too.
That's right. And if
Mhm.
Chris Kubas finds us, hello to him too. One quick announcement I want to make that's off topic is I have another podcast on Blood Meridian, the novel by Cormac McCarthy. And in the past couple of months, my husband and my co-host JVH and I made a deck of tarot cards. If you would like those tarot cards or you're interested in finding out about them, please email us. You can email to bloodmeridiannow@gmail.com for inquiries. Thank you. All right, so what are we going to talk about
Before you
today?
go, I'm
Yeah.
going to give you a raving endorsement. The tarot cards are stunning and brilliant.
Oh,
They're
thank you so much.
amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so what we're going to talk about is there's been a kind of not a glut, but a number of um movies and TV shows with angry female characters. We're going to probably have some offshoot conversations from Pluribus. Mare of Easton is one of our shows that we're going to talk about. The Counselor movie, maybe briefly or maybe a lot. A 2014 movie based on a Cormac McCarthy script. So see, it all ties in together. We watched we watched Courtney Love, one of our famous punk rock angry girls, talking to Billy Corgan. There's a new TV series called Scarpetta. We're going to talk about True Detective, maybe The Substance, and Olivia Benson and Eileen Wuornos, perhaps. And what about angry women? Why now? I think we might be able to thank Harvey Weinstein for this. For two reasons. One, he produced Kill Bill with a fabulous angry woman. And then the fucking Me Too blow up is that some of this anger might be coming from rape culture, might be coming from women coming back and being angry. We don't know yet. I'm hoping we find some answers. I'm not entirely sure myself, but I think we will find some answers. What else? We're going to have maybe talk about our feelings of fear of losing touch with culture. And is it easier to be involved in culture now or harder? Does it have to do with age or your social life? Um, is it all about youth culture? What do we measure being in tune with culture on? And this would tie into cultural competency. Uh, what else is a yardstick? Perhaps gaming culture. I don't know. So there's a bunch of things we're going to throw out right now, and we'll see what we get to and what we don't get to. Um, where should we start? Should we start with True Detective or Pluribus? What would you prefer?
Ooh. True Detective is fresher in my
All
mind
right,
because
let's talk about True Detective. Um, I thought it was fantastic. I absolutely freaking loved it. I've watched it twice.
so I loved it as well. I will, it might be early for this, but
Yeah.
I did have this comment, which is the only thing that bugs me in series like True Detectives and
Yeah.
in all of the ones that we've mentioned is that the strong women and the angry women
Hmm.
don't seem to be able to have good relationships. And I don't think that that is accurate because I know some very angry women who also are in quite loving relationships. So I think
Hmm.
that it's not mutually exclusive, but it feels like it when we watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they definitely are angry. Um, it took a while for it to really kind of manifest for me in True Detective. In fact, I just watched the first episode again earlier today, and I was like, no, I don't know. I can just you just get introduced to the characters. There's definitely some angry dialogue. There's animosity, just like in the first True Detective, where they meet each other, Woody Harrelson's character and Matthew McConaughey, and they just hate each other right away. In this one, they hate each other because of something that happened in their past. It's alluded to, we don't know. There's some case they came upon, and Jodie Foster has gotten involved in a murder, and she's not going to let Agent Navarro, get involved. So Jodie Foster plays Agent Danvers, and
Danvers.
Rice or Reese plays Navarro.
Navarro.
I thought both women were incredible, so well cast, such great chemistry. And it's almost like this episode, this series, this season of True Detective is like an evil Northern Exposure. That you've got that you've got that wonderful small town. Part of
Hmm.
my attraction to the show was that the Alaska. It begins on the 17th day of December and the first day of winter, and you get long landscape shots. You get a hunter with a rifle, and he's looking at caribou or elk. I'm not really sure what they were. And all of a sudden, they spook and they run off a cliff. Then it cuts to a bunch of scientists in a facility, and an intriguing space. Every space here is liminal and fascinating in the series. And you've got about 10 scientists are walking around doing their daily lives, getting coffee, getting a beer, playing music. Are they watching Ferris Bueller's Day Off or something? Yes.
Yes.
And it's a Beatles in the
Yeah,
street.
they're at the parade scene.
That's right. And then it cuts to Danvers, Jodie Foster, and her kind of little microcosm, her family, and picking up her stepdaughter or niece or something. And so you're jumping around and there's Parkas. The Parkers are crazy in this. So one of the reasons that I related to it is because I went to high school and I lived in Kitimat, BC, which is pretty close to Alaska. And we always had a park on. Pretty much. Your coat was your big part of your fashion. And I think that's and your look was in Canada, we tend to have our favorite coats and we wear them in and out and to the bone. So basically, we find out that these no, maybe a dozen scientists have gone missing. And so Jodie Foster goes into their facility. She gets a call, and we do not know what happens, and things become spooky. The reason I say it's like a Northern Exposure, they even kind of reference it because instead of a baby moose walking through town, we have Navarro come across a polar bear with one eye walking through town. So you see the kind of energy shifted from our romantic notions of northern exposure or living in Alaska. It gets quite frightening. Thoughts?
No, that you know what, you just did a great summary. It's shot by shot almost. It was great. Um, it was funny because the tone struck me right from the start.
Mhm.
And my desire as a viewer, as you know, and
Mm,
we
mm,
disagree on this, is I always want to like the hero slash anti-hero.
mhm.
I always want that person to be good. I always want them to have happy resolutions, and to the point where as you know, there are films or books or whatever where I hate them because I don't like the resolution. I don't think there's poetic justice.
Right.
So when you see Jodie Foster and you think she is definitely supposed to be my protagonist,
Yes.
but her behavior almost throughout is not heroic, for lack of a better word. She's often very hard to like.
Hmm.
She's certainly difficult to understand at points. I mean, they the explanation is an explanation.
Hmm. Hmm.
You can't justify how people feel, so it's fine. But yeah, but especially in that first episode, I was like, wow, they are making her a badass.
Hmm.
There has to be a redemption turn at some point.
Yeah.
There has to be something where I'm going to go, oh, or okay. And then it also played into that whole thing for me about, do women in charge in difficult spaces like Alaska, which is supposed to be very macho,
Hmm.
um, very remote, do women in tough places have to automatically be tough and have to be, more bitchy and have to be more like men, for lack of a better word, um, to survive?
Well, that's a great question. I would say my first response to you is that let's talk about the genre because the genre, you've got angry bitches in a few things. It's usually in genre vehicles like science fiction and horror. So you've got Alien, and you have in Aliens, you've got that badass Rodriguez, who she's amazing and she's angry and she's tough with the guys. And then of course you have Sigourney Weaver, who's she's going to get angry at the alien. And in horror film, you'll still see that that's an area where women were allowed to be angry. They have to get back, and Jamie Lee Curtis, they have to go back and kill the horror guy or whatever. But this genre would be film noir. Now, the classic film noir definition would be a hero that had darkness in him. And that's where we get the FBI profilers. They go into the mind of the serial killer.
Mhm.
Somehow they understand evil and then they can catch the bad guy. And Jodie Foster did this in Silence of the Lambs. She had to be the virgin princess, go into the cave and talk to the dragon to catch the dragon that was loose in the town, right? So I think that while we're looking at this portrayal of they're not good people, they're, I mean, she's certainly not entirely bad, but she's an adulterer. She's sleeping with married men, and they're still married. And she's sleeping with her boss quite happily. Um, Navarro is almost like a using her boyfriend. He's not really a boyfriend. She just shows up and dominates him sexually, and even uses his toothbrush in the first episode. So you're really like, what is wrong with these women? They have no boundaries. They're
Yeah,
just they're out of control.
yeah,
And it's a slow reveal. We start to find out, just like we do with Mare of Easton, why Jodie Foster is angry, and it's for the same reason.
yeah,
It seems to be the same unresolved trauma, which if we don't heal our childhood wounds or our wounds, they come back and haunt us, and or we act them out in the world. So I think that they're trying to treat the world in their workplace as a place to make things right, but it's not the place to make things right. The place to make things right is in their heart and in their mind. That's what I think. But they do seem, Jodie Foster does seem unlikable. What's interesting to me is that I felt like they were, how many guys I've talked to that hated this season?
for sure.
They just couldn't talk. They said the writing was bad. I was trying to find one to quote because I have it in one of my messages, but I couldn't find it in time. It's way back in there, I guess. But he was like, I feel sorry that you get a women's story and it was written so badly. And I said, you know what? It was written by a woman for women, and it has a secret language of women. We understand why they are like this. We start to really understand. Maybe we don't right away, but we relate to some on some level to their anger. So something we want to talk about is in these portrayals of angry women, is this helping women to have these portrayals? And does it have to help them? Is that its goal? So we might want to think about that too during our discussion, as you inspired me to write down.
And then it's interesting that men, I mean, I don't know a lot of people who watch the series, which is weird, but
Yeah.
I just, different circles.
Yeah.
I know more people who watch Bridgerton. Um,
I love it. It's touchy-feely.
it's like sexy old woman
Yes, yes,
stuff, right?
yes.
Uh, I could go on and on about that, how I feel that like that should make women angry as opposed to satisfied in a
Right,
weird way.
right.
Um, that's really interesting to me that people didn't like it. I kind of I wonder how much of it is because the women were unapologetic.
Yeah, they were. I think so. And I think that generally, perhaps, men don't like to watch women's stories. They
I
don't
for
care. They don't care for a woman protagonist. That's why J.K. Rowling changed her female kid to Harry. It was originally a girl because someone in her life, an agent or a publisher, said boys won't read girl stories, but girls will read boy stories. So you'll get
and
both audiences.
and that's true.
Yeah.
I think I told you the story. I used to be a university debater,
Hmm.
and they always told us that no matter how good the women were, you started off already at a disadvantage because audiences, female or male, who are judging you and you get judged, that's how you win or lose, is by people giving you points. They all preferred the male voice to the women's voice.
Hmm.
So it's the same thing, right? It's that Elizabeth, what's her name, right?
Yes, yes. Yeah, that sucks. I mean, we'll look at TV commercials. They'll have a woman clean a house and a man voiceover. So, that hasn't changed and it still hasn't changed. It's still, you could find soap commercials right now that are they're for women to watch, apparently. Women are at home watching, daytime TV and they have laundry commercials. I don't know who these women are, but good for them. Yeah.
Maybe.
Or
Like
whatever.
I
Yeah.
seriously don't know who watches daytime shows at all.
Well, I would if I could, but there's nothing much. I mean, who watches daytime anymore because you can stream everything. So chances are if you are at home, you're streaming something.
Hmm.
Yeah. So one of the other things that we get right away in this first episode is domestic violence
Yeah.
because um Agent Navarro has to go and break up a fight in a canning factory where they're canning crabs or breaking up crabs and stuff. It's crazy. So you really are starting to see this kind of level of violence everywhere in the town. And
Hmm.
and the violence, the death of these scientists, we find out that all of them are dead. There's a ghost story, there's actual ghosts, there's actual interdimensional um, storylines and settings in this TV series, which I thought was incredibly brave and incredibly magical and respectful to people's perspectives on how they feel the world is. Because you have this guy, Travis Cole. Were you aware that Travis Cole, the guy who finds them, he's dead, he's a ghost. That's Rusty Cole's father, Matthew McConaughey's father from the first True Detective. Is
I
that
didn't make that.
crazy? No,
That
who
is,
could? I got it because I saw it on Reddit or something. And then I went and looked and they're like, that was a feeble attempt to make us watch the show, like to make us like it more, because it's time back. I thought she did a great job of making a reference to the other cops,
hmm.
to the other storylines. And I think it would be interesting if all four seasons or other seasons started to cross over like that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I thought it was pretty funny that because Rusty Cole was from Alaska. He did spend time in Alaska, so they kind of tied it in. I thought Izzy Lopez did a great job of writing this series.
Like I said, I really enjoyed it. I didn't expect the supernatural elements. I didn't at
Mhm.
all.
Mhm.
And to the degree that they actually were plot important.
Yes,
No, they
I
weren't just
know.
plot adjacent, they were
Yep.
plot important.
So true. It's so true.
So
So did you,
that actually surprised me.
okay, so how did you feel by the end of the series, by the end of the season about the women? Did they grow on you?
Navarro grew on me.
Yeah, she was wonderful.
At the beginning, I didn't like her. I thought she was like, I didn't like her at all. I didn't like the way she treated her boyfriend. I know that's
Hmm.
crazy, but it's true.
Hmm.
I didn't like the way her whole attitude. Um, I didn't love their relationship at the beginning, obviously, because, look,
Mhm.
I'm all for the sisterhood. I mean, Sisterhood of the Traveling Badges in this case, I
Yes,
guess.
yes.
Um, so for me, that was hard. Like, it's hard because I think that women are so often under a microscope, and our relationships are, that why are we highlighting yet another horrible relationship between
Mm,
these women?
right.
Uh, so that was hard. Like I said, she reconciled with me,
Yeah.
like she had to.
Yeah.
But I really, by the end, I fully supported her. I feel like she became who she was supposed to be, and she kind of gave up a lot of like her things that she was hanging on to, and some of her anger, I'm gonna
Yeah,
say.
well, she has intergenerational indigenous trauma,
Yeah.
trauma given to indigenous people. That's where her anger comes from. And we find out, we're not worried about spoilers because I think everyone's seen it, or if they listened to it, we told them ahead of time what we were talking about on this episode. And then of course we find out that Jodie Foster lost a son.
Mhm.
And she has, how do you resolve grief? I mean, are you supposed to resolve it and suddenly be like a touchy-feely? Maybe she was never touchy-feely, although she probably was a loving mother. But whatever she was got worse with grief. And I found that they became a beautiful friendship by the end of it. And they transcended time and space in their friendship. And I just found that profound. I cry at the end. I've cried twice now at the end, even though I know how it ends. And sometimes I see the still photo of them on the deck of her
Mhm.
house, drinking coffee and looking out at the snow, and I'm just deeply moved. In the same way, we can talk about Mare of Easton, that another mini series, I think it's 6 episodes. And if there's a cast of characters that are quirky and unique and true detective, there certainly are in Mare of Easton. Some of the funniest and craziest and awful characters, period.
Yep.
And they do seem to get resolution. It starts out super angry.
But I do feel like her resolution is much more, you know, touchy-feely, huggy,
Yeah. Well, because she was
even
all.
though
Hmm.
even though he died, even though my favorite cop dies.
Yeah, that was terrible. He was wonderful. But what's amazing is the relationship between relatives and her mother.
Yes.
Her
Yep.
ex-husband,
Mhm.
her mother lives with her, and she's deeply annoyed by all of this, that her mother doesn't have her own place and is on her games all the time, playing her games constantly on her iPad. And she has the son of her grandson. She
Yep.
has a grandson who's the son of her son who killed himself, and the mother being a drug addict. So, and it's set in Pennsylvania, I believe, and it's just a grim reminder of the hard life in the United States, both Alaska and Pennsylvania. Even though the weather is better, it's still a grueling lifestyle for working class people, and with
Women in
addiction.
particular, women who end up alone, and again, all of these women, I mean, maybe the manosphere is right. Maybe women can only be happy if they're in relationships.
But how can they be in relationships when the partner is useless and not equipped to be in a fully functional relationship? The men in these roles there's something wrong with them too. If there's something wrong with the women, there's something wrong with the men. They are not able to have to share with the women. These are strong, powerful women. They're not able to share a relationship with them. We do have a professor that falls for Mare of Easton, and that's very nice storyline.
That was a
And
beautiful
yeah,
storyline.
that's a beautiful storyline. It's
Yep.
Guy Pearce, heartthrob. And so that's a good part of the storyline. But, he has to go off to work, and he kind of has to talk her off the cliff sometimes because she's just so revved up because she's not dealing with her emotions. They are pushed into a shelf under her heart, you know? Um,
And again, I think if we go back to the angry women theme, I think that her anger, which is, as we know, her fear and also her unresolved grief,
mhm.
which she hasn't worked for, it just covers all her ability to really love and like get under it. I mean, she does, but you can see
Well,
the effort.
and you're afraid to love after losing so much. You did love and you lost it, and you don't want to open that jar up again. You don't want to open up that cabinet where it's hiding, I don't think, because that's where it hurts. Um, That's where it
Certainly
hurt.
see that with Jodie Foster because in the
Yeah.
flashbacks of her, she is all smiles and soft,
Yes.
you know, and
Hmm.
like, the beautiful, like, the hair that's almost like the way you used to draw it when you were 6, with
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like,
Right.
uh, you
Turn,
definitely
flip,
see,
a flip.
yeah,
Yeah.
you-
Yeah.
and you see her, you get the sense that she must have been at least a great mom or a sentimental mom. And in her, I mean, who knows? I mean, it's hard to know because you also know that she was always a cheater, pretty much.
Right. I think we always a cheater. Yes, that's true. I think the other show we've saw, and I'm just having a little thought here. Um, and same with Scarpetta, that they all have something in common with Prime Suspect. That they are not allowed to work in their jobs freely. They're not
Yeah.
really allowed. They are held back. Whether they're held back by rules that the other cops don't have to follow, the men don't have to follow, or they're held back by the competition of men. So I think that that's maybe somehow that competitive nature in the workplace is compounds their grief and their anger. We watched Scarpetta. Scarpetta was a series of books that I freaking loved in, when was it, like the 90s? And I ate them up and I read them and read them until, and I used to get so grossed out at the science when she'd be like doing the bodies and she really described it. I'd be almost like barfing. I never knew I would end up watching CSI and all the shows now that are like to the power of 10 of Scarpetta. And there was always rumors that Jodie Foster was going to play Scarpetta back in the day, and she was going to produce it. But I stopped reading them because there was so much anger between all the characters that I just felt bummed. I just didn't like it. There was no I couldn't get satisfaction as a reader. I
I
don't
stopped
know.
reading them because I found them not as good. I just found them more formulaic and I
Yeah.
found and the characters got less relatable
Hmm.
at the beginning. And again, we're talking about relationships. I know I'm going to go back to relationships because that's something that drives me
Sure.
in novels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There were some moments where I felt like she was close to resolving relationships. I mean, the relationship with Lucy, the Scarpetta I'm talking about.
Yes.
But the series, as you know, I, the, I don't know. I couldn't. I love Jamie Lee Curtis,
She was very
but
good.
no, I
Oh,
hated her in
hated
that
her.
movie.
Did you
I
hate
hated her,
her?
and I think you're supposed to hate her.
Yeah, I think so. I was going to say, did you hate her acting or her character?
Both,
Oh,
both. I don't know. Maybe I didn't hate her acting,
yeah.
but I hated. I'll t It's not her acting; it's the portrayal. But
Yeah.
that's how they wanted her to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just felt it was such a parody of
Mm,
like that crazy demanding sister, blah blah blah. Like, I mean, there were so many times when I felt like, okay, if you were in my house, you would probably be dead.
right. Yeah, she was pretty horrible, sister. They seem to kind of have some kind of resolution by the end of the season. I don't know. But also in the book, I loved it that in the book, Scarpetta was with Marino. And I always thought that was the cutest relationship. And then, of course, she stopped drinking, she stopped smoking. At first, she was really like a film noir, fast talking cop or something, right? And you go in for that genre and you kind of want to stay with it. And she kind of, the books became kind of preachy. But
Yeah,
having said that, it was a time when maybe we needed preachy books about, she had a lesbian niece. So
yes.
that was kind of avant-garde at the time. There's also a lot of lesbians in these angry women stories.
That's what I was gonna say too. There's
Yeah.
always lesbians now.
Well, because we can be friends with them now. Finally, they're allowed to be in movies and TV. We let them. They're popular. It was a crime they weren't in them in the past. And you know how they were in the past? The same way gay men were, as the evil villain. Like
For
Anthony
sure.
Perkins in Psycho, like in Rebecca, the Miss Danvers. Mrs.
Yeah.
Danvers was in Rebecca, was a pseudo polyamorous S&M lesbian or something. I don't know what. She was pretty bad.
But it's true. But like I feel the lesbian aspect, I'm actually like I'm literally tired of it, not because I'm tired of
Right.
lesbians or lesbian stories.
Yeah.
I feel like it's performative almost in the story
Okay.
sometimes.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
know, like it's
Fair.
not genuine acceptance because if it was, it wouldn't feel like, oh, and of course she's gay. But
Right.
so
Well,
many times that's
it's
to me what it feels like.
yeah, it's like Grey's Anatomy and ER were able to incorporate all kinds of diversity without with it being almost natural. Like Star Trek, it was in the future. It's how it should be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still, I do like it. I'm okay with it, but you know, they've got bad relationships. They are not able to have a relationship. Neither is Scarpetta. We find out her marriage is completely fucked up. Her sister's fucked up. They fight. Her coworkers fight. Her boss fights with her. She's fighting with everyone. And is that the capitalist competitive society, perhaps? Is that partly what these are symbolic of? Is this an allegory for it, perhaps? I don't know.
I mean, I think that's generous. I really feel like this, and I'm going to be sound really negative here,
Okay.
but I feel like it's again people saying, "Hey, you want to be successful as a woman, you want to be this, you have to be a bitch and you have to be separate from your emotions. And that means if you're separate from your emotions at your work, you're going to be the same at home. Therefore, you cannot have these relationships and you can't have the best of both worlds and be that successful." That's what it feels like to me. You're not allowed to be that successful and a pretty woman.
Well, yeah. Well, we have two more examples that take us in a different direction. We've got Pluribus and
Mhm.
we have the counselor and Courtney Love. So
Courtney Love.
Pluribus, brand new show. I think you
So
and I both felt it was one of the best pilots we've ever seen, like in years. I put it,
literally the best first episode of anything I've ever seen.
yeah, I agree. I thought Lost was the best one I'd ever seen, but this was like, I will stay for the rest of whatever they do. I will watch everything because of this first episode.
Me
Um,
too.
it's
Because
sci
somewhere they're going to match that or somewhere that you're going
Oh,
to get that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was so weird. The reason it was so good was because you really didn't know what was going to be happening. I didn't know it was science fiction. I really had very little press about it. Um, and I guess it's science fiction. I mean, it is and it isn't. Because what happens is this character is amazing. Rhea, I forgot her first name. I feel terrible. She was in Better Call Saul, and I loved her in Better Call Saul. So I was super excited to watch Pluribus. And she is a romance writer. She's like a bodice ripper, adventure, Game of Thrones kind of Outlander popular writer. And the thing that's really, really funny is she's working in this genre and she absolutely abhors her fans. She does not like her fans. She feels like her work is beneath her, that she should have been a contender. She should have been a writer of like Cormac McCarthy or Annie Proulx or something that we would call like a literary fiction.
Yeah.
I think it's a bullshit definition. I just want to put that out there. But you know, the idea of like this artistic poetic literature, right? And meanwhile she's selling left, right, and center. She's a multi-millionaire. So she's getting
Yes.
all these autographs. Her fans love her books. They know everything about the characters. She's on a book tour signing books, and then she leaves and she's fucking pissed like, get me the hell out of here. I want to go home and I want to drink. And she has her girlfriend who's also her agent. So right away we have this very interesting relationship because the agent seems like a caregiver. She seems very
Yep.
calm. She's an actress. Did she come from Seinfeld? She's really good. I forgot where I know her from.
I don't
She
remember.
she doesn't last long. That's why we can't remember. Because while they're at a bar, they get home to Albuquerque, where Breaking Bad was filmed, because it's the same writers and producers, Nick
Yep.
Pelosi. And they're in Albuquerque, and all of a sudden, people start freezing. They just go freezing on their phones. Oh, and meanwhile, we've seen something happen, almost like Contact. Jodie Foster is just showing up in this conversation so much.
Yes.
But in Contact, they feel like they get this reading from space, and they start
Yep.
to analyze it. But that's separate. We get that mixed in with her book tour and her thing. Next thing you know, all of a sudden they're spreading oneness like a virus.
Iris. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
for sure a
we don't know
virus.
what it is. It's like a virus. They turn into what we would say initially zombies. Your first
Yes.
impression is that they're zombies. And and they want to come after her. And this was one of the greatest moments in the first episode to me is she's trying to save her girlfriend, her wife, and put her in the back of the truck to take her home or get away from these zombies. And they go, "Hello, Carol. Don't worry, we're not going to hurt you." And I was so scared when they talked to her and said their name, except I knew they weren't going to hurt her, but I still felt terrified because I'm like, what is going on?
Terrifying. And they're
Yeah.
talking to her through the TV everywhere they go. And yeah.
So
And everybody she sees, she keeps seeing people turning and turning and
turning,
turning.
turning, all in this first episode. So
Yeah.
she does get home, and we're not sure what's happening, but you start to figure out over a couple of episodes that she's the only person that hasn't been affected by whatever this, if it's a virus or a medicine or some programming. Then they tell you on the TV, they take over the television, they say, "We found some way for you to get along and everyone to live together in peace. And, Carol, we want you to join us." And she's like, "I don't want to." "Oh, we can't force you. You have to give us permission." And she's like, "I do not want to get permission." But basically, they seem to move like zombies, and yet there's something else that happens that's very interesting. All of a sudden, they turn off the lights in the city because they said there's no crime anymore because we're all one being. We're all one consciousness and we get along, so there's no crime. And so you're like, this is where Stag got terrified. I, at that point, wasn't terrified anymore because I'm a Buddhist and I practice oneness. So I'm like, well, first of all, oneness doesn't work like that. That's not oneness, that's hive mind. Hive mind, hive mind is one thing, oneness and non-duality is something else. You still have Suzanne and Candy to a degree with non-duality. At least we agree to the appearance of us in the Buddhist way. We agree that we're in some realm of earth and everything is connected. Most of the time in Buddhism, people do it intellectually. Some people experience it, right? But in this form, they have this hive mind. And so you could be a 5-year-old kid and you can do brain surgery. Or you
Mhm.
could be, your stereotypical housewife listening to soap commercials on TV and go and be an architect. So they can interchange because almost like do you remember in the Matrix where you could take a program and put it in and learn how to be a gunslinger or a
Yeah.
boxer or something? Remember, Neo could learn everything. So they kind of all of a sudden now know everything. They know everything. They know the whole history of everything, and they know everything about Carol. And Carol is now full on anger. Whatever anger she had after the book signing, it's only worse now. And she's pissed off and she's going to have to save the world. So the angriest curmudgeon on the planet is now going to have to save the world.
If
Yeah.
the premise, though, is because there are other people who are also not affected,
Oh, yeah.
but they believe that this is an improvement and that it's
Right.
okay to
Mm-hmm.
be like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
there is some conflict about, is she saving the world or is she only saving herself and her own ego? And
Right.
to me, that's what it is. It's like my ego says, this is mine and not yours. And
Mm-hmm.
she was mine and not yours. And now you took her, making you evil. But, you
Yeah,
know,
that's
in,
definitely a way to look at it for sure. And I had feelings like that as well watching it. You kind of go through a
because
lot.
in their mind, why wouldn't you want to be part of us? We're all peace, we're all love, we know everything, and it's great.
Mm-hmm. And they get along.
Yep.
They definitely get along and do things. However, there is something about it that we know may not be healthy. Human beings are social animals. We're primates. Now certainly a chimpanzee and ants and bees do have they have swarm activity. Like they work as a group quite often. However, you still have chimpanzees who, seem to know one chimpanzee from another. Primates need to work together and socialize. Being inventive seems to be part of our survival. So, what's interesting about this is all the anger in the other shows is kind of like, oh, they need to heal from it. And I think
Yeah.
you said this to me that you feel like her anger might be what saves the world.
1,000%, I believe that that's what they've set up, is that
Yeah.
her anger. Because, and again, hopefully we're not spoiling it for anybody, but the fact that so many people die because she
Yeah.
gets angry
Yeah. That
is a way of her knowing. I mean, I think she has to learn. Obviously, I think that that's what her and the other guy are going to figure out is how to harness those things
Mhm.
to change people.
Right. Because she was sad when she got angry. She did kill like a 500,000 people or something.
Yeah,
And she felt grief. She felt horrible about it.
he did.
Also, what's really interesting is the way grief is in this show. She has no way to if the other women didn't want to heal their grief, they at least had the option to practice grief and ritualize it. She can't. There's no
No,
funeral, there's no one to talk to. She can't. She's only got herself and burying that body, of her wife. And she has no one. And there are some interesting things they do with it where someone comes and talks. She talks to them and she starts to figure out where their weak spots are and who they are. She makes a list, which I love, was like a writer board. And
no, I love that board. The
yeah,
board
she's
is
so
good.
wealthy that she has two writer boards. I don't know if you noticed that. She has one
Yeah,
and she
yeah,
moved it away and she had another one underneath. I'm like,
right.
okay,
Because
that's
she didn't want
wealthy.
them to be able to see the one that she was on behind.
Okay, but that's a lot of money when you can have two whiteboards hidden beneath a decorative architectural element.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she is trying to figure out, she figures out that they can't lie. They can't hurt her. And she starts to realize, okay, how can I work on this and what can we do to get through? And we don't know. The season ends without that being resolved. It's only season one, but I do think I will add all of the episodes are almost as good as the first one. The only difference being that you already know now what's going on, so you're working with the premise, but it's all problem solving. It's fantastic.
I have to say, I did love the ending.
I
I
did
did.
too. I did
I
too
did love it.
because finally, oh, she does meet other people and they hate her because she's angry, for one thing.
Like,
And yes,
so,
it's so funny because she meets other people who didn't, there's like 11 of them or something. There's 12, but only 11 will meet with her or something, or six. And they're all like, leave us alone. This is my son. I don't want him changed back. And there's nothing wrong with what we're doing. We're still a family. And you're
yep.
like, okay, I can sort of see their logic, but I sort of can't. And by the end, the fellow that's in Patagonia or Brazil or somewhere manages to get to Albuquerque. And so now we know season two, they're going to work together. But this anger is incredible because um, it's a very unbecoming. She's so rich and so wealthy, and it seems linked in with her ego and with being a writer. And we don't know why she's angry, except maybe she had conversion therapy. Did we get a hint of that? I don't know if that was suggested to us.
It's possible. I don't really remember. I just think it, she speaks to me as such a, like an, oh, you poor artist. Like, you know what I mean? Like one of those people who like, oh, I can't believe I sold my painting for $10 million. Like,
Right, right, right.
you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
like that's not art. Like
yeah,
she just seems so and so self-centered.
yeah.
You know, that's the thing about her is that it's interesting that that's one of the things I think that will save her, but it's something that normally all the things that we as women try to like subdue,
Mhm.
anger, ego, all of
Mhm.
those things are going to be the things, in my opinion, that are actually going to help save her.
Yeah, well, we're culturally programmed to subdue those things.
Yeah.
We're programmed where men are encouraged to be that way. So yeah, I mean, she's definitely a powerful feminist icon, and again, gay. So there's that idea that she's not beholden to men's world. She knows better, you know.
Yeah.
I thought that was incredible. Um, no sex in that. There's sex in the other ones. What do we want to say about that?
There there is sex in this one.
Is there? Oh, some
She oh
flashbacks?
yeah.
Flashbacks.
Oh, her and
Oh my
her
God, her
her
girlfriend, I forgot.
handler,
Oh, Sasha or Isha, yeah.
whatever her name is.
Yeah, I
But yeah,
completely. Oh wow, I completely forgot. But I
absolutely.
would say it's the weird part is it healthy sex? Because we're looking
Oh,
at the relationships in the past, other series, and we're saying they're not healthy relationships, sex or no sex. And we should speak about that some of the sex is actually quite uncomfortable. In
abs-
Scarpetta, in
oh,
True
that,
Detective,
yep.
and in Mare of Easton it's something's awkward, or maybe they're just drunk. That's not the end of the world. It seemed
I
like
think it's
normal.
just awkward because I don't think she is, she's awkward in Mare,
Mare of
you know?
Easton.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
that's
Mare.
right. But it's
But in
not like
this,
violent.
no, in
Whereas
this one,
yeah,
I think that
it's almost like rape culture.
well, to me, it's her only way of having a relationship of some sort, of having an outlet, and also of having her girlfriend back
I
because
know.
she just has this woman who knows everything about her
Yeah.
girlfriend, how
Yeah.
she is, and you know that that's what she's doing.
Well, it's interesting because what about the guy in Vegas? See, I think if I was, if I, there's a guy in Vegas who he is not changed into hive mind, and I'm like, I feel like I'd be like him if it happened to my in my world.
Just so you know, I
Yeah.
feel like you would be like him too.
I'd be in Vegas rolling the dice and making everybody pretend to be high rollers with me, right? But I don't think I would be having the women and the sex. To me, that is like, is consent. Where does consent come into this? Because their consent is only because they don't have any choice. So I
They would,
worry
yeah.
her consent, the woman that's with Rhea, Carol, is
Carol.
she is agreeing to a degree to be with her. I
Yes.
think they even have fun. Do they? I think so.
Can she have fun? The hive mind?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know either.
And the thing I kept thinking about is like, how do you do that knowing that whatever you're experiencing is being experienced by every single other
I
person?
totally never thought about that. I
Oh,
totally
really?
never thought
Oh,
about
God,
the
that's
fact that
crazy.
everybody in the world knows when she's having sex. Oh, that is
Yes,
so awkward. See, more awkward sex. So yeah,
more awkward.
there's awkward sex and even possibly violent sex in the other series that we talked about, which
Yep.
my first response is that because of Andrea Dworkin that all sex is rape. I don't know, and that's not even funny to be laughing and saying that. But I'm trying to think what would be the meaning behind this, you know? Yeah, so my concern was I'm glad that they seem like they go to Carol and her friend Isha. They go to like the Alps or something. They're in a ski lodge and they travel and they go to the beach. Yeah, are they having fun? I mean, they're still human bodies. They must feel good. They must feel good about food and enjoy eating because they do
I
have to
don't,
eat. There's
yeah,
another
but I don't,
storyline. We're going to leave that storyline away from Pluribus, but they do have to
no, I
eat.
know. But that's why I don't think that it has any enjoyment because look
Oh,
at
because
what they're
they're
actually eating.
oh, they can reconcile to having bland food just to survive. They can drink
That's it.
their
They're
milk
just drinking milk,
milk
like for
their
the
milk cartons to survive. Yeah, good point. Good point. But I would have but yeah, I guess I would assume that they would still taste food. But that's a great scene in it as well. Um she's angry and she's in Vegas trying to get the Vegas guy to join her. And they have to have him participate because he's such a lively part of the
He's so
story of the writing. But anyway, she makes her egg sandwich and she angrily puts it together how she wants it, right? He makes her breakfast. She stuffs it all together and puts the bacon on and eats it. And there's a very touching moment where he copies how she ate her food and he eats it that way and he nods his head like, wow, that's delicious. So that's interesting because he's human. He's not hive mind.
right, but he's not. And the thing is that to me, that also was them showing maybe he's starting to get what the issue is with
Right.
the way they are.
Right. Yes, I thought so too, that it was his moment to go, oh, human company is fun. And it was also goes to my point that innovation is part of being a primate and part of being human.
Hmm.
And her anger, I think, in Buddhism, there's angry deities. And
Hmm.
I said that at the beginning, and they're protectors, but there's also a feeling of creativity. I mean, look at Kali. Kali Yuga is a destroyer and creator.
Yep.
So creativity comes out of anger too. Medusa, really our high priestess of our episode should be Medusa. She pretty angry. Pretty
Really?
angry. Yep, pretty angry. What does and she loses her head, but still manages to function, has to keep functioning, has to keep living. And what does I've got here what Joseph Campbell says about Medusa. The legend of Perseus beheading Medusa means, specifically, that the Hellenes overran the goddess's chief shrines and stripped her priestesses of their Gorgon masks. the latter being apotropaic, faces worn to frighten away the profane. That is to say, there occurred in the early 13th century BC an actual historic rupture, a sort of sociological trauma which has been registered in this myth. Much as what Freud terms the latent content of a neurosis is registered in the manifest content of a dream, registered yet hidden, registered in the unconscious yet unknown or misconstrued by the conscious mind. And I certainly think that's what they're harnessing in the shows. I don't even know if the writers are sure what the anger might be symbolic of. I think as viewers, we get to decide what it's symbolic of and what it means. Um, it certainly means that we didn't, whatever suffragettes worked hard at and whatever, your mother or my family worked at to let us grow up and we grew up as liberated women, we don't have freedom. We're still locked in patriarchal structures and systems. And we still run to systems to look for help. Look what's going on in the United States. They're not, they're not, they're not doing anything. They think they can't do anything. They think that the system has to do something. They don't realize that it's in the power of the people. The people could do something. They just haven't gotten there yet. And I think they will, but they haven't gotten there yet because they're so programmed to believe that they're part of a system. Remember Daniel Quinn and Ishmael? He said he's an expert on captivity. And so even Jodie Foster, if you look at Alaska and all those inner places, they're like captives there. The weather keeps them captive. Their jobs keep them captive. They're not free to be themselves. And that little bit of freedom that comes at the end of the season, I think, at least they have each other. But it's a different kind of each other than what we might
Well,
expect.
and do they actually? Because one of them leaves.
One of them leaves, but she has transcended time and space. So she's hanging out on the porch with Jodie Foster at the end.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean.
But also, yeah.
It's an uneasy situation that you'd certainly would be hard for most of us to believe could happen.
Right.
The series says it happened. Another part of the plot where supernatural is part of the plot.
Yes.
And the only happy ending is that.
Yeah.
And perhaps that Jodie Foster has some peace, that she's actually broken through to something. Oh. And Mare of Easton has broken through to something.
For sure she did.
Yeah,
For sure.
Scarpetta, I don't think so. At least not yet.
I told you, I half understood the end of that.
I didn't understand it either. That was the other part, that it was so into being mysterious that I couldn't tell what was going on. Like, who's the killer? It turns out that the young boy that grows up to be a cop seems to have been the killer.
Yeah.
And he was kind of creepy looking the whole series anyway, so I guess no surprise. But at one point, I thought her husband was a killer.
Well, they
hinted at that. Yes.
With Benson, that is never Benton. Sorry, I called it Benson, but Benton. Yeah. That I don't remember. Now, granted, I haven't read a Scarpetta book in a long time.
No, me neither. Not since the 90s.
No, exactly. But they definitely gave that hint where he has the childhood trauma that serial killers have. He has the interest, he has the knowledge. He's keeping people on his estate to get information. And there was absolutely, I need to tell you something. I need to tell you something. There's absolutely a hint that there is something seriously wrong with him.
Yeah, true.
I thought for sure that he was going to end up being involved somehow.
Yeah, me too. He was a bad guy though, that's for sure. Because I guess Kidman's never going to have a nice relationship in any of her projects. And speaking
not allowed anymore.
Speaking of her projects, and speaking of anger, I think we can find evidence of women taking their anger and turning it into something positive. Reese Witherspoon, Nicole Kidman are at the forefront of becoming their own producing creatives. They're making their own shows. They're adapting novels. They're acting in them. They're getting their friends to be in them. They're getting older women to be in them, because I think it's an angry reaction to the fact that once you turn, I want to say 40, but it's probably more like 35.
35.
Yeah, that you don't get roles anymore and you can't play those, action figures and romance or even a mom anymore. You've got to be like going into the grandmother mode. And I think they have done something remarkable and Kate Winslet doing Mare have done something remarkable to get back into um give themselves roles and parts.
Yep.
And I mean, Nicole Kidman is knocking out projects, knocking them out. Like, is it every year?
Okay. Oh, I feel like she's in everything.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's
Literally
amazing.
feel like she's in everything.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And Reese Witherspoon was
Incredible.
like that a few years ago. And
Yes,
so so one thing I was thinking was that Winslet, Kidman, and
Witherspoon.
Witherspoon and Foster maybe too have probably inspired Cameron Diaz to come back out because she was in a movie. I think it was a streaming service movie. It was an action with Jamie Foxx. It was a lot of fun. Like, just they're a married couple and they are secretly superheroes or something or spies. Okay, it was very cute, but it was like a shock because I thought she retired. And here she was coming out, and now she's in a movie called Outcome with Keanu Reeves. So I'm like, this is interesting. We may be seeing more and more of this because one, because they can get the parts and they can sell. If you make, we've said this forever, if you make a story for women, women will come. The second part is how many of these women, and here's the part we're nervous to talk about, have taken elective surgery. And I certainly know why they have, because they want to keep their jobs. But I do feel that this is part of the anger too. Can you imagine that to keep a job and have a job, you have to go under the knife? And the pressure to keep making money and keep being relevant and being a movie star is that you've got to adapt your face to go with the times. And it's
I
something, where we're watching all of them. We're watching all of them with Botox or whatever. Now it's kind of amazing if you see, like, look at Jamie Lee Curtis. She apparently hasn't done anything. I mean, she had makeup on her face for Scarpetta that made her look older and like a smoker.
yes.
They put
And
latex
same
on
thing
her
in
or
the
something.
bear. In the bears, they made
And in
her
the
look.
bear, they gave her latex a coating on her skin to make, how it shrinks your
Yeah.
face. So it would
Yeah.
dry up and look like more wrinkles. So, there's not many women that are going to do that. Um, and she got her Oscar fairly late in life,
Yep.
which really was a boost. So
But
this elective
so that
surgery,
is a part of the anger, I think.
yeah,
I pair that with the whole, and you're gonna laugh at me, but I pair it with the old man, young woman
yeah,
romance.
absolutely. If you're afraid your partner's going to run off with a trophy wife, you're going to have surgery to stay looking so-called attractive to him. And then listen, Nicole Kidman's beautiful, Madonna's beautiful. I don't think they're ugly. It's just obvious that they have done work and they're going under the knife, some of them. And I feel bad for them. Courtney Love had her first facelift at 35. Now
What is
that
the
is freaking young. And we both watched this is here's another famously angry woman, and rightfully so. I'm a huge fan of Courtney Love, and I do not blame her for being pissed off. She's had to have more shit thrown at her than anyone in a way. And who was the first to tell us about Harvey Weinstein? Courtney
Yep.
Love.
Yep.
She was I remember when it was like the Grammys or something. I remember when she was in the lineup and she said something. They go, any wisdom for young actors? She says, yeah, if Harvey Weinstein invites you to a hotel room, don't go. And I
Oh,
remember laughing, but I didn't realize what the fuck?
yeah,
That was at least in 2005. Maybe
for sure.
earlier, maybe earlier.
You,
Probably around the time she was in Larry Flint
yeah.
versus People versus
Yep.
Larry Flint. Yeah. Um,
Yep. You know what? The problem is that the warnings were coming from the wrong people.
well, yeah, nobody's gonna listen to Courtney Love.
Or
Um,
Mira Sorvino.
or Mira Sorvino, right, right, right.
Oh my God. Like there's anyways. I
Yeah.
mean but I think I don't know. Like I have friends and we've had this discussion. Male friends my age that
Yes.
are older than me. No, older than me
Yeah.
who are dating women who are 20 years younger than me.
I know.
And
I know.
and
That's crazy.
but it's so
And they're
normal.
not even famous or rich.
No.
My father married, his second wife was much younger than him.
Yeah.
You know, love her to death. She's wonderful. Um, but and at the time I don't, I was too young to really kind of add it up. It wasn't until I got older that I was like, geez, no wonder it didn't last.
But like is there a place where we have to relate to them? Like it,
I don't know. I'm so grateful for having things in common with my friends that you can talk about books and literature. I mean, obviously that's ageless. So that kind of thing is ageless. Sometimes people are with people for status. I mean, we
yeah.
watch Hollywood, they seem to marry and divorce to and either marry up or marry sideways to keep relevant, you know what I mean? You get a weird couple all of a sudden together, you're like, how did that happen? You know? Um,
People are celebrating Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson. They're like, oh, look, they're the same age, but they're not the same age.
right, right. Well, they're at least she's not 25. I mean,
No, but
that's
there's still 15 years between
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, after a
That's a,
certain
yeah,
age, that doesn't bother me. It's really when
I,
you're young that it really bothers me personally. Um, but yeah, I mean, 25 and 45, that's awkward. But
about, 30 and 60. Like I just,
Michael Douglas, yeah. Yeah.
but I do think that that is the pressure to stay looking young
Yes.
has to invoke anger because we've talked anger, fear, same thing.
Yes.
So part of you is afraid you're going to lose everything, that nobody's ever going to want
Yes.
you to do anything
Yes.
anymore.
And fear of dying.
And yes,
Fear
but
of
also
aging is fear of dying.
fear of relevancy,
Mhm,
fear of, like these people who were huge box office names
mhm,
now not even getting, oh, you're like not getting anything.
mhm, mhm.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, um, and back to Courtney Love, I thought that was an incredible interview on with Billy Corgan. And if anyone's listening and hasn't watched it or heard it, you can watch it on YouTube. It was incredible. She talked about a lot of interesting things, and a lot of them came from recovering from anger in a way. One of them was Dave Grohl, who I love. I love Foo Fighters. I love Dave Grohl. Amazing. But she made some really interesting points that Dave Grohl, can't you tell your bros that we're friends? Because a lot of his career is based on being like a boy's boy. I'm a
Yeah.
man's man, and oh yeah, stupid, you know, stupid, how do you say, um, I his cartel,
Yes.
his
Yes.
cachet
His
is
cachet. Yeah.
is being a broham, and if he's all of a sudden friends with one of the most hated women on the planet, he might not sell records.
Yeah.
Yeah. So So
I'm
I
gonna,
think that was it. Yeah, you go ahead, let the dog out, and I can still hear you or see you. Suzanne's doggy has to go outside. I think Courtney Love talked about this, and I thought, wow, I really hope that David Grohl will come out and say something like, no, actually, we are friends. Stop picking on her. I mean, why would she be angry? She was angry because the whole world thought she murdered her husband. They
yeah.
started these insane rumors, and they believed them, and yet they won't believe the Epstein files. Go
But
call, see how crazy people are?
again, no, everybody believes one man, nobody believes 40 women,
Right. Right. Exactly. So yeah,
right?
Courtney Love made that great point, and she also talked about gatekeepers, which I found rather alarming because for one thing, my husband adores Sonic Youth. I love Sonic Youth too. But she made some really good points that
Interesting. It was so
yeah, it
interesting.
was so interesting because she was saying, and it really came, there's so much in it that I almost can't handle it. She was saying how the gatekeepers, you had to prove you were authentically grunge and authentically punk. And Kim Gordon, these two, Billy Corgan and Courtney Love, they waited Revenge is Best Served Cold because they didn't sound revengeful, but Kim Gordon's book came out in 2020. And on the same page, she trashes Courtney Love and Billy Corgan. And I noticed that around the time of the podcast release, Courtney Love had posted the page on her
Oh, that's
Instagram feed. Yeah, it was funny. And it was not nice what Kim Gordon had said. She called her a tarantula and just terrible and narcissistic and everything, when all she was a creative rock star. And, a lot of this jealousy is rooted in this The anger coming from Kim Gordon, let's say, is about fear of not being relevant, fear of being left behind by new pop stars. It's like all about Eve. You
Yep.
know, you've got this young starlet coming up, and now not only is she going to be outshine you, her husband's going to be the biggest rock star in the world, and they're going to take off and write lyrics about you.
Hmm.
You know, it was
And
also, go ahead.
I was going to say the whole Courtney Love thing was really because women can't win. You can't win if you try, if you want to be someone separate
Right.
from your superstar
Yeah.
partner, you
Hmm.
can't win
No. No.
because you're a hanger-on, you're profiting. He wrote all your music, he did
Right.
it.
Right.
You are not valid,
Correct.
you
Correct.
know?
Yeah.
And I think, what's funny is it just made me think of something. You and I, for years, I mean, this goes
Mhm.
back years
Yeah.
and years
Yeah.
before sex, we always said that we never thought that there would be a man who could stay with Madonna.
Oh yeah. Isn't that funny?
Hmm. We said there's no way that a man could
I guess we
ever.
were right.
Isn't that sad though?
It is terribly sad. It's horribly sad. And I guess Sean Penn has also said, she said that he was the love of her life, and he said that she was the love of his life, even though he was in a relationship for a long time with Robin
I
Wright.
thought Robin Wright, I mean, she's fantastic.
She is, but they're long broken up.
I know.
Yeah.
Listen, and he's one of the people who's 95 going out with like a 20-year-old.
Right, but they couldn't handle the paparazzi, you know?
Then
Oh,
don't do what you do.
I
Like
know. Well,
retire and go make salad dressing.
well, I understand. I don't like that either, but there are ways they could do it and not see the paparazzi. It's true. They could not be out on, they
Look,
could go to
people
different
do it.
restaurants. Yeah, people do
People
do
do
it.
it,
Yeah,
you
they
know.
do do it.
I mean,
Yeah,
Demi Moore and Ashton did it for 15 years,
that's
which is
true.
to me is incredible.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Now
Although,
there's a
it,
reverse age difference.
yes,
Yeah, I don't know. It
didn't
just,
last.
uh-huh.
Didn't last.
Didn't last. No, but I think it's really just about if you're still growing and developing, especially as a creative or in the business, if you're still creating your career and building, you know, I just think you're still learning and if you are going to be marrying somebody that much younger, to me it indicates that you're not mature or something. I don't know what it indicates. I don't know.
But
That
for
seems
me,
unfair, but
I mean, I can't tell you, but I mean, I feel like for men, it's just like it's a straight ego and fear of death thing.
yeah. Yeah, well that's great. It's good that you got to that again because I forgot the whole part with the elective surgery really is a fear of death. And
Mhm.
death is scary. It is scary. And
For
and
sure.
losing when you're a woman that walks into a room and everybody looks at you, I understand that must feel shitty when you get older. You know, if that's what you based your well-being on. It depends on what is your
But
validity.
the
You've got
but the
children, you've got grandchildren, and you've got a career. That's why Jamie Lee Curtis is kind of amazing because she just doesn't seem like she bases her life on those things.
right, but she
Hmm.
has been lucky to find somebody and been with him for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think
And
they are down to earth. I think that they make an effort to be real people, to stay real, and to not get caught up in many shallow materialistic things and magazine covers, even, anything of analyzing their life outside of the work. But you've got to have your work to be able to base your happiness on that. But even that, you shouldn't base your happiness on work. Happiness is its own thing.
right, for sure. But I wonder if them both being, well, him especially being from the comedy world makes
Yeah,
it
I think
easier.
so. I think it does. I think so for sure. And whatever her mother and father taught her, they did teach her. They were old-fashioned movie stars, but they lived life. They seem to have lived life. Something in them, either it's Christopher Guest or her. They've found some way to be.
I
um,
wonder if some of her, like, I feel like part of her has to be a reaction to the addictions that were near her and
yeah.
the affairs and the excess that she saw.
Well, that is a great point because I think there's something very, I mean, when it comes to fame, fame is so afraid of death This is
Hmm.
part of a disease. In a way, fame changes your brain chemistry, and it's a kind of addiction. I think sometimes you see that, especially with some, stars. They're just always out there getting fucked up and getting in the press, and or presidents. They're doing anything for attention, right? So politicians do that too. And so I think that when you have, she's sober. So I think you're right that when you get sober, you tend to do some kind of spiritual practice to get sober. And it doesn't have to be AA, but it's something you've got to take a reckoning on who you are and what your life is and what the
Yeah.
meaning of life is. And you're hoping that someone does that. Hey, did you see Bratz, Andrew McCarthy's movie, where he interviews, oh my God, we could
Oh,
obviously,
you know what? It's on my list. I'm
okay,
actually
we
writing.
could, who was mind blowing was it's a weird thing. I'm going to say what I take it as. To me, I watched it. It was going to be all the Brat Club, the Brat Pack, right? But it turned into this weird spiritual journey that Andrew McCarthy had not got the memo at the same time that the other Emilio Estevez did and Demi Moore did. He went off on his own path, and meanwhile, he comes back and reconvenes with them. And Demi Moore is kind of profound. She's just kind of profound. Her energy and the way she talks to
Really?
her. Oh yeah, it's really cool. We let's save that. Maybe we'll do something about that
Oh,
one time too.
I
Yeah,
would love to, but like you bring up Demi Moore, who, as you know,
yeah,
I loved, loved, loved. General Hospital loved,
yeah.
loved.
Mhm.
This was my icon, and now I cannot look at her.
Oh, she doesn't bother me. I love the substance.
Well, that's because you like Courtney Cox too, but
And they look alike.
I just feel like she look like her. She looks like Courtney Cox, and I feel, yeah, she doesn't look like Demi Moore anymore.
Yeah. No,
And
I understand that. That's fair.
um, I wish, I guess, I wish that there was a reason or a way of being where you could say, you can look like Jamie Lee Curtis does in The Bear,
Yes.
or like Meryl Streep was when they age her, or like Helen
Yeah.
Mirren does in,
Yeah.
in The
Yeah.
Crown,
Yeah.
or like people who, Judi Dench, where you can age and
Hmm.
you're still going to age less because you still have $4,000 skin cream on your face and you still
Right.
have the hydrotherapy
Yes.
week.
Yes.
You're not going to look like my mom necessarily.
Yeah.
But at least accept the aging. Whereas my fear is that more and more it's actually we're giving that same standard, and I hate to quote the beauty myth
Hmm.
because
Right.
whatever, but we're giving the same thing to men now, like
Yeah.
where they're starting to do all the plastics.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
Definitely.
point?
But I think for one thing, it's a very Hollywood thing. It's a very American thing. It's culturally predominant in the United States. I can't I don't know what the statistics are. I'm sort of speaking out my ass here, but I think, when you think of celebrities, most of the celebrities that have taken elective surgery are American Hollywood actors. There are a breed of actors who are like almost Shakespearean or theater, and they don't want to mess with their face. Maybe they would do Botox, but they wouldn't really probably go under the knife.
Right.
And maybe they're okay with spending their money carefully when they retire, or marrying rich or something. I don't know. Has Catherine Zeta-Jones had surgery? I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't seen her in so
Haven't seen
long.
her for a long time. I don't want to trash the way they look. All cultures do body modification. All cultures do body modification. It's the one about the sense of anti-aging. And the thing is, it doesn't make you look younger, it makes you look different.
Yes.
But it does seem to resist the wrinkles. It's the wrinkles that are the part that and the sagging and the
A
let's make a list.
loose. A
Let's make
loose.
all the loose, yeah. That you can't reconcile. And I know regular people get elective surgery too.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
But but the problem is like when they become unrecognizable.
Yeah, it's like an addiction. It is
Love,
like an addiction.
Courtney Love, if I had not listened first and then looked at her in that interview with Billy,
Mhm.
I would, if you just shown me a still and said, "Who is this?" I literally would not have known.
Right. Yeah, she looked
But I haven't
beautiful.
seen her.
She looked very beautiful, but she looked very different. And Courtney, I think Demi Moore looks very beautiful, very different.
Very
And
different.
Courtney Cox, her face is very different too. I think they're beautiful. And I I hope it didn't hurt and I hope it was worth it. I assume it was because they're doing it and they feel comfortable. I mean, Courtney Love looked very healthy and happy. I thought she
She
looked
did.
very healthy and bubbly and she was pretty funny. It was also, I want to add here on a lighter note, it was hilarious because they're in their 60s and both of them couldn't remember things. Courtney Love couldn't remember some lyrics to Nirvana and he couldn't remember, you know, who
Yeah.
played solo guitar on B-side 6, which he normally would have been able to remember things like that. So it
Yeah.
was kind of endearing to see them doing that. And it was also endearing that you could tell he really had a soft spot in his heart for her because they were together when they were young. And they knew, he said when he first saw her on stage, that she was just a force to be reckoned with, basically. And that she walked around with her shoulders up and was sexy, whereas most girls in bands, they weren't concerned with being sexy, they were concerned with being rockers. And she
What?
had this sexual energy.
Yeah. I found him fascinating. Like he wouldn't let it go. She was like kept
Oh,
trying to get
yes,
off of it, and
I
he kept
know.
going, "No." But the thing about you was your shoulders and
I
the way you
know.
carried yourself. And she's like, "Yeah, but blah blah." And he's like, "No, no, 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 no. Let's talk about how you presented."
No, it was actually
It was
quite humbling.
so
I thought it was very touching because she could have been, yeah, tell me more about how beautiful I was or something. You know what I mean? She was really
yeah.
like almost like embarrassed, and also not just embarrassed. She just didn't get it that he had a crush on her back in the day. Well, apparently he said that she was in love with him.
I seem to remember him thinking that about everybody though. Like I
Well,
seem to
yeah,
remember that was like his vibe was like
yeah.
everybody loves me. I'm a tall, bald guy.
Well, yeah, but he wasn't always bald.
He was when he sort of like, I mean, I always
He had
remember
hair
hearing,
at first.
I don't see,
I
I
don't
don't
think he
remember him
lost his
ever
hair
having
until I
hair.
don't think he had lost his hair until the zeros. And then he had a t-shirt with zero on it, remember? And he wore a toque. And that's when you could start to see, oh, I guess he's losing his hair. He's wearing a toque.
I thought, anyways, I
But
could be wrong
it's
about
funny
all those
because
costumes.
I know people, he bugs some people. He doesn't bother me at all. I believe he's on the spectrum. Hell yes, he's on the spectrum and probably OCD. And then she's sitting there going, yeah, I'm ADHD and I can't do anything about it because my dad gave me acid when I was a baby. I mean, it was the craziest interview. It was so interesting.
It was
Um,
very interesting. However, I
yeah,
do, and again, I'm not because I don't know enough about either of those two people
yeah.
like you do, but
No.
I sort of felt like, okay, you're both giving a lot of excuses for your past behavior.
Oh, yeah, I didn't get that at all. I mean, I thought that I've never really been sure what the hell they did that was so bad. I mean, I don't follow it that well. I guess Billy Corgan probably said things about other musicians, I'm assuming.
I would guess that
Yeah.
too, but you know, I I don't I mean comments are comments and you don't have to take them or whatever, but the comment
Right.
section of his podcast was very
Oh.
funny.
Oh, really? What was it?
Oh yeah. Lots of people going,
What?
the two most self-centered people on earth were having a
Oh,
discussion.
oh, I don't know. You know what? Celebrities are self-centered.
Well, but that's my thing was like, I don't know if they're the two most
No,
self-centered.
I don't think they are
I
the
could give
most.
you a list of almost any. This is your perception because maybe you don't like them, but like I look at and I love Dave Grohl, but
Yeah.
listen to him talk.
Oh no, I
You
know.
know, listen to
Yeah,
listen to anybody.
I know.
What else are they going to do? That's who they are and that's been their life. Especially she was so young when she started as.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you want to hear music stuff. This was music stuff. This was
Yeah,
behind the scenes music stuff. Do I care? I don't care if they're rich or they're self-centered. They managed to get through a conversation. And I found them entertaining. It's like,
totally.
oh, you're not going to watch Jimmy Kimmel now because celebrities are self-centered? You know,
I know.
this fame thing, that what happens with fame is it does develop an addiction and narcissism. And you have to work really carefully and really hard to not have it. Either you practice your Judaism, your Catholicism, or Buddhism, whatever it is that you do to bring you off of that. I what's the line in Red Hot Chili Peppers? If you see me getting mighty, if you see me getting high, knock me down. I'm not
Yeah.
bigger than life. And you've got to have people in your life that do that. The celebrities that aren't like that, they only have yes people around them, that they don't have any touch with reality. I'm not sure, how much Billy Corgan is in tune with reality or not. Probably not, like you and I, not in our realm. We're just creatives that are out in the world in our own way. There is a bit of a jinx and a curse when you get that rich and famous. And now they're saying brain science is saying that wealth changes your brain chemistry.
1,000,000% wealth will change your brain
Yeah.
chemistry.
And not
Listen,
necessarily in a good way.
no, but if scrolling through Vines or to
Yeah.
be old, but if scrolling through like whatever on your Snapchat or whatever, it's changing your brain
Tinder,
chemistry
Tinder.
and all of those things, then certainly
Yeah.
wealth is going to change your brain
Yeah.
chemistry,
Yeah.
you
Yeah. And I
know?
mean, you just get cut off. You can't be regular. You can't be famous and rich
No,
and be someone like David Bowie is exceptional. How he managed to push himself and be so inventive. And Prince, I guess, because he had everything inside of him, in a way. All of his resources came from within him. Bowie, he was an avid reader, an avid magazine, avid listening to other music and movies. You kind of have to do that.
well, a seeker, right? He
A
was a
seeker,
seeker.
yeah, yeah.
Yep. But okay, that's how you deal with that. But there is still,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like I still think that even though she seemed bubbly and happy, there's definitely still a side of anger to Courtney.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely.
and you know, the question that most people have is, okay, you're rich, you're famous, you have everything, why are you still angry, right? We've
Yeah.
talked about this.
Yeah,
This goes
why
back
is she?
what?
Well, because first of all, I would say no public, she would probably want public reconciliation. Maybe not her, but I think that because you're a public figure, you want a public apology.
Oh, I
Um,
think
you do think so?
I do. I think
Yes.
she wants some kind of like that's the
Reassurance.
thing. I
Yes.
think that was the call out to Dave Grohl too, because
Yeah.
she wants
Yes.
somebody to,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah,
yeah.
but and having said that, yes, it sucks that everybody thought you were a bitch. Or it's a Yoko Ono. Haven't you ever met Yoko and talked to her? I'm sure she would have insight. I would assume that Courtney Love would have talked to Yoko Ono.
That would have been the right person for
Yoko Ono does not have a chip on her shoulder. I've met her and I've heard her
it.
speak publicly. Yeah, she
That's
came
cool.
to Toronto just after 9/11, and she had a show there, and she did not have a chip on her shoulder. And considering she had this similar kind of history, very similar to Courtney Love, of breaking
Very.
breaking up the Beatles, and John Lennon dies on the street. I mean, why did they live in New York? Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Um,
That she is a fascinating one. I think I talked to you like there's a podcast called You're Wrong About, and they did an episode
mm,
about
mm,
Yoko. And it changed how
yeah,
because I don't know, I'm too young for the Beatles.
yeah, yeah,
They weren't my thing. I
right,
didn't get, uh, it
yeah,
wasn't my thing. I
yeah,
didn't care.
yeah.
So, but I always knew she was the villain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
That's
You
the
know,
only thing I ever knew.
Yeah, what's interesting was Stag and I watched Disney or Peter Jackson refurbished these old film takes. They filmed the last week that they were still together, the Beatles, and they filmed Get Together, Get Back, and
Yep.
it's on Disney and it's incredible. It's like I don't know 10 hours of film or something. But Yoko is sitting there talking with everybody, and so was Linda Eastman,
Mhm.
and they are just fine. It was bullshit. If anybody didn't get along, it was Paul McCartney was a little bit, they picked on George, and George wanted to branch out and be his own person. But it's a phenomenal documentary because you actually
I've
see
heard
them
that.
writing the songs. It's absolutely phenomenal and beautiful. But there doesn't seem to be any problem with Yoko Ono. She was sitting there. It's great. She's knitting while they're playing.
So
It's
funny.
so funny. She's knitting or cutting up magazines and stuff. It's perfect. It's
So funny.
awesome. Yeah, it's awesome.
I have a question for you. Has Julia Roberts done an angry woman role? I mean, even Aaron
Only
Brockovich?
yeah, a little bit. I would call that. And then My Best Friend's Wedding, maybe, but not really. Not
See,
really.
that to me goes into the psychotic woman role.
Yeah, yeah, that was a great movie though. That's when I went, okay, now I can watch her because I really liked her in that role. You know what she's very good in, and I might be an angry woman, August Osage County.
I didn't see it.
Oh, I think you might enjoy it. I mean, it's a kind of movie I don't normally watch anymore. It's
I
kind
was
of
gonna
movie,
say that doesn't.
no, I know, because I kind of stopped watching a lot of serious hardcore drama movies at
Mhm.
some point. I don't know why. And when I was really young, when you're a teenager and everything, you just kind of lap it up. It's like, ooh,
Yes.
emotions, drama. And then I was like, no, I like comedy and sci-fi. I don't want to watch this anymore. But you're at home and I saw it and it's got an incredible cast. Um, I think Meryl Streep is her mother. Oh my God, I'm going blank. And Margot Martindale's in it. Chris Cooper. I mean, it's a phenomenal cast. And as soon as it started, I knew what was going to happen. I don't think that's the fault of the playwright. I just think that there's just a thing that happens in some of these family kitchen table dramas, and
Yes.
it's happened a few times, and I know where it's going to go. I don't think it's anyone's fault. But I was like, I have a feeling this is going to be it. But anyway, I would say Julia Roberts plays an angry woman there,
Okay.
and I
'Cause
I
I was
think write it
thinking
down and watch it.
I did,
Oh,
but I
good.
was thinking like I haven't. Okay, how about this?
Yeah.
Because she hasn't had the unreconciled angry woman
No,
that I
no.
know. Because in Erin Brockovich, she kind of,
Saves the day.
yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, Jodie Foster in general, almost all of her roles, forget Taxi Driver, but her roles since then have been a force of positivity in the hero. And maybe not angry, but driven. Because I mean, sometimes driven can be a little bit like angry. A little bit.
What?
Earnest. Although earnest, I wouldn't say she's earnest. Demi Moore is earnest. Demi Moore was always earnest in her roles. Jodie Foster, I thought she had a little seething in her.
I just think she's so she is
I adore
phenomenal.
her. I adore her. She's just one of my favorites. The fact that she was in True Detective blew my mind, that she took the role blew my mind. It was just one of the greatest things to happen.
What is why can't I think now I'm having an old
That's
age
okay.
moment.
Are you thinking of a movie? Remember when she
Yes.
directed movies? Home for the Holidays?
Oh no, I
Was that her?
listen, I love, yeah.
Yeah.
Was
Was
that
it?
her?
I
Yeah,
don't know, but I
I think it
love that
might be.
movie. I think it was her.
Um, Little Man Tate,
Oh yeah, great movie.
Little Man Tate
Yeah.
was her.
I wouldn't say that was one of my I like all her action
Yeah.
films, like Panic Room and
Oh, but it
Silence of
was
the
so
Lambs and stuff. Yeah. Go ahead.
okay,
I
but
didn't think you.
you know which one for me is the most
Oh,
impactful at my age.
you're gonna have to tell me. I can't guess. For me, I love
The
Contact.
Accused.
Oh, The Accused. Oh yeah. Oh my God.
The
That was brilliant.
Accused.
She got her first Oscar there, right?
I love,
Yep. Yep. That was incredible.
yep.
Okay. So there you go. Angry Jody. She does have a little
Do you
seed of
remember?
anger.
I mean, that's an angry woman.
Yes, it is.
But she's had it almost her
Yes.
whole
Yes.
career. Taxi Driver. I
Right.
mean,
Right.
I'm trying to think of a
Right. Well, so
Freaky
yeah,
Friday,
you're
maybe. Sorry, I
suggesting
just
going against types, and Julia Roberts hasn't gone against her type too often, but I would say August Osage is getting there. But you watched recently The Counselor, and Cameron Diaz definitely went against type. She plays Malkina.
do you think so? I don't think so.
Oh, you don't? Do you think she's the icy blonde always?
Yes,
Oh, oh, I think she's always plays
always.
the cute
I mean, even like
girlfriend.
I think the mask, see, I think the mask is against type for her. And I think the same thing for,
Oh,
I don't know, I think of, I guess probably not, but it didn't strike me she was stretching in that. I was like, yeah,
I didn't think she was
that
stretching. I thought she was excellent in it, but I thought that it was usually she plays the cute girlfriend in either an adventure or
a lot,
comedy. Pardon?
a lot.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Vanilla
Wait, Holiday
Sky, even in
Holiday
Vanilla,
is Jodie.
yeah, yeah, even in Vanilla Sky, she's still the kind of the cute girlfriend, isn't she?
Yes, I don't know. I always had that kind of
Hmm.
belief. Maybe it's, I mean, Charlie's Angels. I know that she's still like, but there were
Okay.
parts in that where she
Yeah.
was quite,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why, but I have to think about what other films
Yeah.
where I'm thinking
Well,
like
she was
she,
definitely angry in The Counselor, only we don't really find out until the end. It's she's icy, and we don't know why. She's angry with Penelope Cruz at the pool scene. So The Counselor is a kind of reverse film noir and crime drama. And you had not seen it before. You didn't even hear of it.
nope.
What did you think?
What's interesting is
Hmm.
after, thankfully, I read your,
Oh yeah, my essay.
yeah, your essay is fabulous because I had none of that perspective at all. And then when I read your thing, I was like, fuck, excuse my language, but you are brilliant. You
Oh,
are
thanks,
brilliant.
honey. Thank
I
you.
didn't think about it that way. I still, again, I was watching it not having known anything about
Mhm.
it. And so my hero slash my protagonist was absolutely the counselor. I mean, that's his name,
Yeah.
the title,
Yes,
his name is
correct.
the title.
Correct.
But you're right. She is, you know,
Hmm.
she's definitely the anti-hero and she wins, right?
And she wins. Yep, she
She
wins.
wins.
Yep. And I find I don't think I wrote this in that essay. And if anybody wants to read it, it's on my Substack, Self-Help for the Doomed, and it's called Grind. You can read it. I argue that Malkina is an Egyptian goddess. So you can read that there. And I'll put a link on Facebook or something.
You should.
Yeah. And
It's great.
thanks. And thank you. And yeah, it's weird because it's they're doing it on purpose. It's a tricky story, but you get tricked about which way it's going. And all of the stars are super big. I mean, it's an insane cast. That's why I was really surprised you hadn't even heard of it. But it died in the theaters. It absolutely died. Um, so,
I think, what year is it again?
2014.
2014. Yeah,
Maybe
I
you were
don't know
probably
why.
busy going to hockey games with your
A
son.
million percent.
Yeah.
A million percent. But even so, I still knew about
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay, well, what else do we have? We kind of have we were thinking about Olivia Benson too as an angry woman.
Yeah.
We've got her, what, 15 years of her seething anger, and she's so beautiful at it, and you feel so much for her. Taylor Swift named her cat Olivia Benson.
Yeah. I mean, Taylor Swift is the new archetype of what up until recently with her Travis.
Oh, that's true. That's true, right?
But she was the archetype. Everybody referred to her as like an angry young woman.
Yeah, that's
She's a
interesting.
young woman though.
Yeah, young woman and also with the cheery melody, you know, quite
Yep.
compelling. It will be interesting to see what her songs are like in the future.
Well, I mean, I love this last album and it's a happy album.
Okay, there you go. I mean, she's so good and she's so prolific and
Yeah,
there seems no end in sight for her skills and
I
her
agree.
her
It's interesting.
creativity and talent, you know. Okay, so speaking of a younger musician, in amongst all this aging and everything, we're thinking about
Really?
these older women and they're grabbing back their careers and trying to maintain a career in a society that really values and has valued since the 50s youth culture. And that youth culture began when there was a baby boom, right? My
Mhm.
parents were my parents were kind of part of the baby boom. They were, actually my dad was a toddler in the Second World War, so he wasn't really a baby boom, but he was just about.
Yeah.
And so good enough. And they had money in their pocket, they had time in their hands, and their parents, were getting a good income, and these kids could get gas for their car and go to the beach and consume music and movies.
Mhm.
So they became the arbiters of taste in some ways. Did you
Yep.
know before that it was the CIA? I mean, the good thing about youth culture is it took it away from the CIA. The CIA had programs to discover American writers that would be defending the conservative American way and to create the and to find an art scene. You know,
Yep.
it's well documented now, and we've talked about it on the podcast in the past.
Yep.
But how do you think we feel relevant, and do we care if we're relevant
Well, I think
as slightly older women?
here's my and it's a good question. I don't know that we're necessarily relevant. And more importantly, I don't even know if we live in the same world as some of the other people. I
It's probably
think it's
true.
relevant.
Right.
I absolutely live in a completely different world than somebody who follows Megyn Kelly.
Yeah. The good news for me is that I've always lived in a parallel universe.
No, but I mean, it's
But,
actually
definitely true. I mean, I definitely was a club bunny and out dancing and doing all punk rock and stuff like that. But in general, yeah, I mean, Megan Kelly, I mean, I don't even know most of the games. I know games from my family, my nephews and my grandson. I mean, okay, I played Half-Life at one point, barely, but yeah, I mean, I know Fallout and I love the TV show that spun out of it. But I'm not into game. I don't play games. If my husband and I had a game, PlayStation, we'd turn into frat boys. We would have pizza boxes. We would never leave the house and we'd be gaming all the time because we just have personalities like that. And we also the visuals, they're so beautiful. So a huge part of the art form and part of the art culture in right now is gaming.
yeah.
So and tattoos, obviously tattoos for like 30 years now have been an art form. So we're not out of touch with that.
No, but gaming is different. Like I even now,
Mhm.
maybe you do. I have never been somebody who can watch somebody else play a game.
Oh,
It's
I
not,
can. I can. But then I covet it and I want to play. And then I'm
but
like,
it really depends. But like there's an entire audience for people watching other people playing games.
it's so true.
And I find that kind of ridiculous. Like
Right.
the other thing that I find fascinating is the collapse of the metaverse recently.
Oh, tell me about that. I don't even know what you just said.
So
Which metaverse?
Meta, Meta, and everybody, they had a whole like, I mean, think of your early sci-fi places where you could invest in horse racing and
Oh,
properties and all this stuff in a virtual reality world.
yes, like Roblox or something. Right.
Exactly. But they invested billions of it and then
Yeah.
just closed it because it just
Wow. I think Paris Hilton.
lost
Yeah.
millions,
Oh,
billions,
wow.
billions.
Wow. I didn't know it got that big and lost that much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember because I work in crypto, or I used to
Yeah.
work in
Yeah.
crypto. It was something that was financing the metaverse a lot.
Mm,
And they showed us examples of how you would pay crypto and race your horses and win crypto money on a crypto racetrack
right.
in this place.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I've never felt more like I should never have watched The Matrix.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I don't want to know this. This
Yeah.
is knowledge I don't want to have.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. I mean, I definitely have seen 3D games and 3D
Yep.
headphone head view pieces, whatever, and that it's really cool. I
Yeah.
am not against that in the future. Like I said, I'm afraid to have it because, and we could get a game set up here. I'm just afraid Stag and I will never go outside and we'll never do anything else again. And we already have our multiverses. We're both artists. We're all already obsessed with
Yep.
shit like that. We made a fucking tarot deck. I mean, that's just right out there with role playing. I mean, next step is we're going to be, at the Renaissance Fair, you know?
But you know what? The difference is that, like, at least that is touching people and humans,
Yeah,
you
that's true.
know?
Of course, of course. Yeah,
Like,
it's tangible. It's
and
tangible.
I
Yeah.
have this argument all the time with people who are like, well, I speak to people online all the time and I go to places online and I'm like, I don't care what you say, that is not the same as
Mm,
sitting in a room breathing in
mm,
somebody's air.
mm.
It's
Yeah.
just
Well,
And we're going to end up losing that.
yeah. Now, having spent many, many irreplaceable hours on book forums, I will say
I
that you have too.
I just remember being on Bloor Street and going to the cafe for hours, you and I sitting
I
next to
know.
each other.
I
And
know. And I know totally many irreplaceable hours. Well, first of all, book clubs, and then I also used to go to Ted's Collision. They used to have computers in the back of Ted's Collision on College Street, and I would play Myst because I didn't own a computer. It's
I,
so hilarious now to think of that. And Myst is
well,
like the most nerdy, lame game. It's just like pretty music and pretty images.
are you kidding? I was telling Ben how when I used to work for the advertising
Yeah,
agency, to render stuff at night,
yeah.
we would have connected computers to play Doom. And we thought
Oh
it was the
wow.
coolest thing in
Yeah,
the world because
totally,
we were playing each other and killing
totally.
monsters.
Yeah,
And I thought that was the
yeah,
coolest thing in the world.
yeah. I
And then
forgot
I
about.
could do that with people across the world.
I know. I completely forgot about that cafe on Bloor. It was very funny. And that always smells like 12-year-olds in those places, right? Like old socks, like kids' socks. But anyway, no, that's right. So, I've got a whole documentary of meeting that I've interviews of meeting people I argued with online about
Yeah,
Cormac McCarthy
yeah.
or Shakespeare or something. But it is different. But there was a kind of a feeling of it's like that reverie feeling. It's like you are in another realm, in another dimension. So that's what I'm afraid of. As entering the dimension of gaming or cryptocurrency and horse racing, I can totally see how people get into that. I mean, I'm surrounded. I've got a lot of people around here. They watch the horse races all the time. They watch it on TV. I used to like going to Woodbine to watch them, right, in
Again,
Toronto, but not
right.
on TV.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Again, we're talking about it's like sports betting
Hmm.
where you're betting on a video game and
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
huge now. And I'm like,
I know. That is hilarious.
it just in French we go "ça me dépasse." It's beyond me. I
Yeah,
don't
some
I
dip
don't
off.
get it.
Yes.
But, yeah.
Too funny.
I don't know how this has to do with maybe that's why I'm angry because I don't get
Oh,
it.
yeah, okay.
See, look at me coming
I
back.
like it. Good. Full circle. So
Yeah.
we don't know what this has to do with angry women. I know. Well, I'm sure there's angry women in gaming. You can make a character, Mortal Kombat. Listen to me, Mortal Kombat. That's how out of it I am on gaming.
No, because they're doing another Mortal Kombat movie.
Oh, they are? Okay, there you go. Oh, so we're talking about angry women and that could you feel angry by being out of touch with pop culture? And what is pop culture and who defines it? In some ways, I feel like there's so many times now. It's funny because at one point there was an apex where anytime I met somebody and talked to them in a bar or hung out, let's say even at work, inevitably we finally were watching some of the same shows. It was back when TV was normal or old TV, everybody watched the same shows. But then there was a
Yeah.
time when nobody watched the same shows. But then with Netflix and maybe even Amazon, people were watching the same shows again. Now that's gone again because there's so many shows that it's almost impossible. Like you're into what? You can really fine tune what genre and what kind of TV shows you want to watch. So I'm back in the place now where it's like I don't know if I can watch that.
And then you also have the algorithms that will feed you things
Yeah.
based on what you've already watched. So um, it's amazing. Ben and I do this
Mm.
as like an exercise.
Yeah.
And my son, by the way,
Yeah.
which is I'll go on his Netflix and see what he has compared to what I have based on
Right.
and we've watched the same thing, but it's amazing where the algorithm takes you.
Oh, that's interesting. I haven't really examined Stags. I should. I know what it's going to be. It's all going to be Jimi Hendrix
No,
and
but
and Zizek.
well, and let me tell you, like even the Spotify year end, what age are you?
Oh
Did you
yeah.
yeah.
No, I didn't
So
do that. I
Spotify,
would never do that.
well, it gave it to you whether you wanted it or
Oh,
not.
really? Oh,
It said based on what you've listened to, this is how many hours you've spent, and this is your age based on your
oh,
music.
that's funny. Oh, that's really funny.
And they were right. They said I was 26.
Oh, that's great. Speaking of music, I know that you're around people and listen to this about music. The thing is, we we've got our music maybe we like listening to. And I listen to a lot. I listen to a hip hop rap station in Chicago. I listen to basically it's rock, alternative rock, kind of college rock, and I listen to a pop station. It's supposed to be like a top 40 only. It's only like 5 songs. The
Yeah.
thing is, you can see young people and we know all their songs. We know the music they're listening to. Do you have that experience with younger people in your family and stuff? I do. I
So yes and no. Like I had the other night, because as being 26, I go out dancing.
yes.
I, I do. I like
Yeah.
dancing
Yeah.
still, and we go out. But there's a DJ near here who is old
Yeah.
and 80s, 90s
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
And so we go to dance because what's more fun than dancing to songs that you knew when you were a child?
Right.
Um,
Apparently that's a thing when you get older.
that's apparently a thing.
The big chill.
Uh, but what's funny is there are a staggering number of young kids there who
Yeah.
know all the songs, who
Right.
know all the words,
Hmm.
and not just in the Tracy Chapman revival, but
Right.
in actual old school form.
Sure. My point is that makes sense. I get that because I used to listen to older music when I was young too to go in the history of
Sure.
music, right? And you definitely are dropping, you've got YouTube now, you can analyze a song and find out where it came from, and you've got sampling, so you can go down rabbit holes. But there was a time where no one would know what my music was. And the thing
Right.
is, we know what young people are listening to. What's the music that we shouldn't know? This subculture doesn't exist right now. Do you know what I'm
Right.
trying to say?
Yeah, I do.
If they were
You're at
playing
one
just
point,
listen, yeah.
music was supposed to be the rebellion.
Yes, that's what I'm sort of trying to
Music
say.
was the rebellion.
Yeah,
And so, as older
yeah,
people, or we shouldn't have access to the rebellion, but we
right.
all do because
Yeah,
everything's accessible. And
correct.
in fact, what they're actually doing is carnivoring previous cultures, which always happens to an extent. But you're not going to tell me my father, who loved, um, swing music
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
classical music. And
Right.
so I do love classical
Yeah.
music. I'm not going out dancing to classical music, by
No,
the way.
no.
Or I mean, I like swing music, but since we used to go dancing, what was the name of the club that had swing dancing once a week? I forget, in Toronto. But
Okay.
aside from that,
Yeah. No. Yeah.
nobody is doing that. But you're because of the internet, things are much more accessible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, and you don't have that mystery because you can access. You don't have to go out to Ted's Bicycle Repair or any of
Right.
those, or
Right.
anything to listen to the music or to find out about the
Right.
music.
Right. And also maybe the motive for art making and music making isn't about pushing boundaries anymore. Maybe it's, you know, maybe it's not about that. Whereas there was a momentum for art to leave the Byzantine, go into the Renaissance, leave the Renaissance, go into portrait and memento mori and Dutch painting, then go into Van Gogh, and then go into Andy Warhol. And the same with music was doing this kind of pushing the genre. And I don't know if we care about that anymore. And I don't know if we should care about it actually, because it's back to that authenticity of, oh, I can only be a posturing punk, you know?
Uh, So I just had a thought, and I don't
Yeah.
know that it has any relevance, but
Okay.
like I think previously we all had one, it was a monoculture where you would try and get out of it by going to punk, going here,
Right.
going there.
Yes.
Now we are so diverse that there's no outlying. That's why they're seeking to get common experiences.
Yeah. And all the crossovers too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah. The
make
common experience.
a
Yeah.
common experience because they don't know what that is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting because one of my roomies, she said a while ago, one of her coworkers who was really young was going to see a concert and she couldn't wait to get there and she had a dress picked out and to just be the same as everybody singing along to this singer. And it was a specific singer. I think it's the one that said driver's license. I forgot her name right now. Um Cabello. Anyway, I can't remember her name, but
Oh,
anyway,
Camilla Cabello?
yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. She was so excited to go see her and to fit in. Whereas in the past, it would have been, I can't wait to have my unique outfit. I'm going to wear this and nobody else is going to wear it. And I'm going to wear like platform boots and, fishnets and sequins or something like that. You go to a Taylor Swift and everyone's wearing sequins.
Yeah.
That would,
Cake
and I
or
thought,
whatever.
oh,
Yeah, yeah.
it's so funny because, you think about it because then it could have looked that way to my grandmother. Everybody's wearing jeans.
True.
So
It's
there
true.
could be a little bit of that too. I don't know. But yeah.
But
Um,
it's interesting. But is youth culture still relevant? I mean, all the relevance is in, unfortunately, the
uh-huh.
marketing of it.
Exactly.
And the
That's what they
fact,
found out that there was money in youth culture in the 50s
and
and
the
60s.
fact, but that
Yeah.
right now, I think
Yeah.
that's the only
Yeah.
thing
Well,
that's important.
well, look what they did. Douglas Copeland defined Generation X and they expanded generation to be like decades, all of a sudden.
Yep.
And I find all that kind of bullshit anyway, because all those generations, like I said, my parents, baby boomers or something, that's a marketing term. It's not a real term.
No.
Most generations have things in common and flow. And you're in the same country, the same kind of economy. We all make money the same way. We lock up food and distribute it.
You
And
do.
and totalitarian agriculture. And we basically have a lot more the same. This goes back to a great, well, I think I said it earlier in this podcast. There's a little funny essay about how no one can revolt because we're so dependent on systems and we're so dependent on magazines and radios telling us about music. And, I want to find something. How do I find out about it now? I mean, I'm not around a group of friends anymore. When you get older, you're not necessarily around people like you were when you were younger.
No.
Um,
How do you? I was discussing this the other night with a
yeah,
guy
yeah,
at this 80s, 90s thing
yeah.
where I was like, when I look at how I learned music,
Hmm.
I had Brent Bambury on CBC Brave New Waves,
Yes,
who was subversive at the time.
yeah,
Nobody knew what he was playing.
right.
But he took everything from England and from other places, and you would listen, and some of it would sound like, I don't know, the soundtrack to Project Hail Mary, and some of it would sound like really cool
Mm,
ska, and some
mm.
of it would be, really dark. That's how I discovered like the things I loved.
Right, right, for sure.
Uh,
Well, speaking of Project Hail Mary, I think we should come back and do another podcast and we'll get Trisha on it and we'll talk about Project Hail Mary and whatever could go along with that topic. I
I would be happy to
Do you
talk about
think we've
Project.
solved do we have any answers about why so many angry young women? I think it's because we're angry.
I think it's because we're angry because of the inequality
Yeah.
and that so many people thought the problem was solved.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I think. I think that we're angry that we heard of or watched or were there when all these revolutions came
Yeah.
through and it wasn't enough
Yeah.
because Roe v. Wade was overturned
Yep.
because the manosphere is out there
Mhm.
because there are women who are literally changing everything about them to
Fit
reach a
into men's
standard
worlds, to fit into
never.
men's world. Yeah. And we have a massive rape culture that we can't,
Exactly.
we have the Epstein culture, the Epstein class, and they're not going to give up their sex cult. You know,
Nope.
they're going to try and change and divert our attention away from it. It's worse than it ever was.
Worse than it ever was.
Mhm.
And women supposedly are more powerful than they ever were. So it's like that huge backlash. It's how I feel about the conservative, the Christian nationals, is that there's such a strong backlash
Mhm.
because the power is so overwhelming on the other side.
Mhm.
And yet they still have the power. This minority still has the power.
Mhm.
So until the shift that you were talking about earlier
Mhm.
happens, where
Mhm.
people stand up and go,
Mhm.
oh, wait, wait, wait.
Mhm.
We are 60% of the voting public. We are 40% of this population. We are 90% of this population. Until that happens,
Mhm. No. All right. On that note, it's
now I
been
have to
great.
think.
It's
It
been
has been.
great. It's been great talking to you. I think you answered the question. I think that's something to think about. And I hope anyone who's listening, thank you for listening.
Thank you.
I think Suzanne's going to be coming back and we've got couple other girls coming back with us too. So thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Thanks, Candy.
Okay, bye.
Bye.